Well, Stephen, obviously we are dealing with one of the worst snowstorms in years. We've been talking about it the last couple of nights. The last time we've had this kind of snow is really 2017 statewide. Of course, 2021, 2022, we were looking at some big storms in eastern Connecticut. So I'm going to go through some questions from our viewers and send them in, please. You can see that I have radar. And the one thing before I get to the questions, let me see if I can pull this out a little bit more. It might be a little bit much, but we are watching that line, that sleet line, as that is really important here on how far north this sleet line will get into this area, right about here. I'll close in a little bit more. And you can see that sleet line slowly moving into southern New Jersey and, of course, parts of Delaware and Maryland. But more importantly, look off to the south here, and right there, let me see if I can get this one right here, you could see that's where you're starting to see a little sleet. So the question is, that's what we're going to be watching there in the next 3 hours or so. Does it make it up this far? Does it get into the shoreline? And so that's what I have from a New London viewer. What time of the sleet in New London? Well, that would be a good question. And again, it would be between around 5 to 7 o'clock. And when you mentioned the shoreline, how far inland does that go? That's a good question, too, because with this kind of a system, you can get a little bit of sleet moving as far north as 10 miles inland, or even mixing in the Hartford area, but it's still snowing. You just can feel it pinging on your coat, et cetera. But right now, I'm thinking within 5 miles of the shoreline, 5 to 10. You know, I'm just really looking at all this and going, is that going to make it? So we have to be careful about that. But that's a good question, and we always talk about the rain-snow line here in Connecticut. It's very, very sometimes hard to forecast. You know, with so much cold air, you would think, why is that happening? And I was mentioning last night that part of it is because you have low pressure and so much warm air with it and energy, you can bring that low close enough to the Connecticut, and that would develop a warm air tongue in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, and would be causing some of that mixing to occur. But the atmosphere, I'll tell you, the lower boundary layer, that is the lower couple of thousand feet. I mean, we have temperatures in the single digits, just in the low teens across coastal Connecticut. It's very, very cold thanks to the Arctic high to the north. And you can see some of the blue shades have lightened up, but that's okay. You're still getting steady, moderate to heavy snow. It's all about the visibility, too. Visibility, what is all that about? When you get visibilities down below a quarter mile, that is heavy snow. Now, we're also looking at this, the winds picking up and near blizzard conditions. So what does that mean? We've had questions about that as well. With the blizzard conditions, you would need 3 consecutive hours of 35-mile-per-hour winds sustained. And we don't think that's that, although the winds are picking up with new low pressure developing off the Carolina coastline. And as it closes in closer, you're going to create a tight pressure gradient, which would create higher winds. So that's another thing that we'll be watching. But right now, we don't see those winds to get up there. It doesn't matter. If the visibility gets down to near zero, you can have 25-mile-per-hour winds. And that's when we say, you know, blizzard-like conditions or near blizzard-like conditions. There are no blizzard warnings by the National Weather Service. There never was. There wasn't even a blizzard watch. But when you look out the window, it certainly looks like a blizzard. And, you know, when I look outside our studios here, it does remind me a little bit of the big blizzard of 2013, but we're not going to get 30 inches or 40 inches of snow. Remember, that storm gave us 3 feet of snow, 2 to 3 feet statewide. That 2013 blizzard was actually worse than the 78 blizzard, the 69 blizzard, and I can go on and on and on. But it moved, and boy, was it a good thing, because the 78 blizzard turned around. So this storm is a little different. It's not a complete pure nor'easter, but now it is getting offshore. And that's why we're seeing that low trying to bring up a little bit of milder air as it gets going. And you can see, you know, we look at the dry slot. Remember, we can get another 5-6 hours of moderate to heavy snow, and hopefully we can get the low close enough to us to cause that to happen. A couple more questions here. What time for the sleet to move in? Again, about 5 to 7 o'clock. Robert on Facebook, why have snow totals increased? That is because of the Arctic air mass that's really holding strong across the area right now. And with that high to the north and that low to the south, you are creating a major temperature contrast, but the cold air is winning so far, and you have to talk about the fluff factor, 20 to 1. Thank you, Jack. We have another question to Debbie in East Granby. Is it going to be any warmer tonight? Actually, temperatures will be a little bit warmer, but not much up in northern Connecticut there in the East Granby region, Debbie, because it's just, we just have this cold air mass that is not going to go away. This storm is not going up to our west or coming on top of us. That would drag warm air in. But the way this is setting up now, the temperatures are going to hold steady. They may go up a couple of degrees, but that's about it. We'll have temperatures maybe tomorrow morning anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees above zero, so we'll continue to have those going on. That going on at Scott and Hamden. Why the weather oh yeah, I already answered that. The models are doing a good job, and certainly we are doing everything we could to keep you guys informed. So again, this area of low pressure is in a position where we are going to see it slowly close in on us, and when it does so, that's when we can maybe get this little sleet line into coastal Connecticut. So at this point, right now, we are going to be watching that. That is the one key that will determine how much snow totals will be cut down. Right now, again, we are calling for 8 to 12 inches of snow, but I'm leaning on the high end. And as far as inland, yes, the snow totals are piling up fast. So I think the storm is going to verify, and we certainly hope for a little reprieve tonight, as we get that dry slot to come in, or if that low pressure can come in a bit closer. We'll be tracking that very carefully. So again, what we expect is the worst of the snow to continue for the next few hours, and then we're going to see about that changeover or a mixing of it even as we go into this evening into tonight. Then we'll have a lull, and then we'll have the back edge of the low pressure and increasing winds. It'll be tomorrow we can get some light snow showers. We could get another coating to an inch or two, but it's not going to be steady snow.